you ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die, and can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past which could be shared with the present moment? So I thought, why not just speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They Call Us Channelers will take the viewers on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docuseries is to bring a new understanding and awareness to channeling by looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability? Okay, let me just speak to the guys then. Let me just have this conversation with them. Were there other lifetimes that you've worked with Paul before?
Well, I hear yes, but we don't discuss this with him. He is of us in a certain way. He is of us in a certain way, a principal aspect in some ways, a principal aspect in some ways that chose to manifest and have this experience, the evolution of a soul. The evolution of a soul is something we will teach in time, The man you see before you, has been governed in many ways by the small self, at the cost of realization, but the guarantee here, and by his own request, is that he may know, and as he knows, he may teach, and as he knows, he may teach. While we have worked with him in prior lifetimes, we assume him in many ways, and we assume him in many ways as what we are in full expression. We also understand him. We also understand him as one who is understanding, his own capacity and ability to be rendered anew through this encounter. It's not an easy place to stand. It is not an easy place to stand, to be the beneficiary of a teaching you can't quite comprehend, that you can't quite comprehend, and also to be the mouthpiece for it, for the benefit of others, for the benefit of others, while we understand the dilemmas he faces, and we congratulate him, for his ability to show up anyway, we'd also support him. We would also support him in surrendering the option, of understanding to our benefit, to support him in this, we understand the work before him, so that he understands that the work before him is of realization, which in many ways is the passive result of this encounter,
Right.
Period.
Okay, then we're going to have a bit of a two-way conversation here right now, and if we interrupt each other, just know that that's okay, right? Did he choose this before he came into this life?
Yes.
Okay. Did he have the choice to say no to it?
Yes, absolutely yes.
And do we choose our lives before we come into this incarnation?
In most ways, yes. In most ways, yes. You make decisions about what you require. You make decisions about what you require, how you will evolve, what the encounters may be to support this, and what the encounters may be to support you in this. There are things that you may choose. Once embodied, you have much free reign. But the primary lessons, and perhaps encounters encounters that you require to learn through, and perhaps encounters that you require to learn through are brought to you as required, are brought to you as required and by your own agreement, and by your own agreement, period.
Right, okay. So the other players that come into your life, for example, are some of that agreed upon, or is it left up to free will that if it happens, it happens, if it doesn't, there'll be some other players that will come to you?
You have opportunity to meet everybody you need to meet, everybody you need to meet to advance the soul. To advance the soul, if you choose to say no. If you choose to say no, you may find another way. You may find another way to learn the same lessons, or pass the baton, to another incarnation, will be offered, where you will be re-offered the same opportunity to learn, through the same encounter.
Right, okay. Why do some other channelers talk of a different truth to that?
When we say others, we mean those that are apart from us. We mean those that are apart from us. In fact, there is no one apart from us. And in fact, there is no one apart from us. You may have different understandings of what stands before you. You may have different understandings of what stands before you, You may call a tree a shrub. You may call a tree a shrub. You may call a flower a bush. You may call a flower a bush. It is still the same object. It is still the same object being claimed in a different way, being claimed in a different way. When you speak of individual truth, you speak of individual perspective. I see the bush, I see the bush, you see the rose, you see the rose. We will argue about it or not. We will argue about it or not. In fact, what is being understood? In fact, what is being understood at one level of consciousness, may be very true, may be very true in a higher one, but as you rise in octaves, the universality of truth actually goes beyond language, or the distinctions you would make, If you understand yourself by the color of skin, you might rightly say the color of skin is such, and you might rightly say that the color of your skin is such and such. When speaking a truth, you would be speaking a truth that is not an eternal truth, when you understand that the skin, is not who you are, that the body is not, or that the body is not, or the belief you have, and what time is, not time, You can be prepared. You can be prepared for something much different, the codification of identity, a man, a woman, of this or that, a man, a woman, of this or that, or ways of having experience, When you move into the higher octaves, the same may in fact be true. As we teach through Paul, we actually diminish ourselves. We actually diminish ourselves for the opportunity to be heard. His vibration, while quite high, and in tune with ours, cannot hold the vastness of it, So we distill it to an impression. So he may be an encounter with it, so that he might be in an encounter with it. You may be with him as well, and you may with him as well. As you understand yourself in a higher way, what you think you are transforms. What you think you are transforms, and higher still, and higher still, and higher still, and higher still, so that even the idea of identity becomes absurd, because you realize the what that you are, as part of the great what, without the discernment, or ideology, that a small self would utilize, to claim its importance. The illustration Paul is thinking of, is the raindrop in the pond, The raindrop knows itself as singular. But once in the pond, the idea of separation becomes impossible. You can learn through anything. Well, maybe different ways. And while there may be different ways of addressing reason, we would have to say that until you know who and what you are, everything is conjecture. Period.
Well, until we know who and what we are, I guess this whole experience that we're having here and the continuation of what we call the soul. It's just a human word for it. I don't really know what it is, right? You've got your own words for it. It's on a journey to find that, isn't it? It's on a journey to find itself, no?
Not necessarily, no. You're assuming you are lost. You are assuming you are lost. The small self may think that. The small self may think that. The true self does not. The true self does not. He knows who he is today. He knows who he is today, in this very moment, as you acknowledge him, her or it, whatever you wish to call it, whatever you wish to call it. You may align to its purpose. You may align to its purpose, which is normalization as you, which is its own realization as you. To announce yourself as the seeker. To announce yourself as the seeker will have you seeking for a long time, will have you seeking for a very long time. The one who knows who he is, the one who knows who he is and realizes it becomes a beacon for others as well, becomes a beacon for others as well. The vibration you hold transmits the information that is required for others to benefit, in their own knowing, period.
Gosh, that's so much to take in there, right? And I appreciate what you're saying there, right? But I can't, I know I was conscious at some age, and I can't remember anything before that, but this feels right that I was something before that,
You have always been, and you always are, and you always are. You are the one putting yourself outside the moment. You are the one putting yourself outside of the moment. The divine as you is as present now as it can ever be. The divine as you is as present now as it can ever be. You are looking outside yourself still. You are looking outside yourself still for some answer, or some proof of identity, You will see mirrors. You will see mirrors and nothing more, The truth is within. The truth is within. Can only be there. While an external teacher can support you in realization, is still the same thing. It is still the same thing. The divine as what you are. The divine as what you are, who knows who he is, and realizes himself in fullness, He is not the one who is lost or confused. He is not the one who is lost or confused. He knows.
Well, I suppose the only one thing I know I'm doing is, doing the things that I, are really just are enjoying doing right now, which is having these conversations which is being here right now with you.
That's how you're expressing as you are. It is not who you are. It is not who you are. The true self you see. The true self you see is who is asking to be known, The true self as you is present now. The true self as you is present now. You don't know this. So you're seeking to affirm the reality you understand. So you are seeking to affirm the reality you understand, which is the inhabitation of the small self, in agreement to what he sees, Imagine for a moment, just for this moment, that the divine as you was present fully. You didn't have to figure it out. You didn't have to figure it out. You may say these words if you wish. I know who I am in truth. I know who I am in truth.
I know who I am in truth.
I know what I am in truth.
I know what I am in truth.
I know how I serve in truth.
I know how I serve in truth.
I am free, I am free, I am free.
I am free, I am free, I am free.
Now ask yourself this question. Who has answered this? Who has answered this? What aspect of the self? What aspect of the self has claimed these words? The true self as you. The true self as you, who knows who he is, who is expressing in the body, through the form you have chosen, may know its self-expression, and may know itself in expression, all that it sees, in all that it sees. If you were to look around the room, or at the man before you, and make the choice to witness the divinity, that is already present, underline the word already, already your expression, vibratory expression would meet this choice, and call you to that alignment, and call you to that alignment. This is the choice you make. This is the choice you make to align to the true self, to align to the true self. You cannot make it happen. You cannot make it happen, but you can choose to it. But you can choose to it and align to it and align to it if you wish it. If you wish it, then your recognition of who and what you are, then your recognition of who and what you are begins to transform in agreement to this, begins to transform in agreement to this.
So why can't I just, okay, no, that resonates very true, that does, right? But why did I stop myself from truly knowing what this experience is? It's like they call it a veil sometimes, don't they? I've heard that term before. Why is the veil there?
It's an opportunity to learn. You incarnate in a body. You incarnate in a body. You have experiences in the body. You have experiences in the body. Ways you learn and understand yourself and understand yourself. This is one way to be in school. This is one way to be in school. You may also go upstairs. You may also go upstairs to a higher classroom, and have different and have a different experience where the veil is not as present, as you lift your vibration. As you lift your vibration, the veil itself may disappear. You may go into agreement divine. You may go into an agreement, energetic accord with the divine that is present all, that is present in all. And that is what we call the kingdom, and that is what we call the kingdom, the one who enters the kingdom. The one who enters the kingdom, or the awareness of the divine, or the awareness of the divine, is the one who knows who he is the one who knows who he is, period.
And is that kingdom much different to this, really?
Yes and no. Yes and no in many ways. In many ways, it is what you see. It is what you see without the influence of fear, without the attachment to what you thought, the manifest world you see. The manifest world you see in many ways is elastic consciousness. In many ways is elastic to consciousness as you lift to the higher. And as you lift to the higher, you actually take part. You actually take part in transforming the higher, in what is present, in what is present. What you see before you is known in a new way, That has been the teaching. Behold, I make all things new. And it is a very true one. At the level of the divine self. At the level of the divine self, how you perceive, and what you perceive. And what you perceive is transformed by your encounter with it, period.
Yeah, and I like what you said actually before when we were just talking about the different truths of channelers out there. To me, what I took from what you said there was, as you go in octaves or in frequencies, as you grow basically, then you're going to meet different teachers that come from a higher truth. There's no level. Yeah.
They're saying yes and no. You're still reducing what we're telling you. You're still reducing what we are telling you to a way you can understand it, to a way that you can understand it. It's like going to an Italian restaurant. It's like going to an Italian restaurant or an Indian one It is all food. It is all food as long as you believe that your sustenance, comes from those places, they are what you will attract to. They are what you will attract to and claim as yours. But you may learn as who you are, but you may learn as who you are in very different ways. You understand? In very different ways than you understand. Imagine that you are absorbing the rain. The earth is not taught by the rain. It experiences it, is replenished by it, and is replenished by it. You are acting as if the teacher is the rain, as if the teacher is the rain, and it's never the case. And it is never the case.
Well, if I live in a museum and this is other people's thought, then my new thought would be, let's really get out of the box. Just to me, this would be, and let's look at, well, what if this is some sort of life review? What if this is not what it actually is, the real life, but actually is a reflection of something else, for us to come out of our head and actually look at it so differently to what we have ever thought it was?
That's our teaching. If you wish it. That is our teaching. That is our teaching. We're not here to confirm the known. We are not here to confirm the known. We're here to say you chose the old. We are here to say you chose the old. You inherited it. You inherited, agreed to it, and will continue till until you can possibly conceive, until you can possibly conceive that there's something beyond it, that there is something beyond it, period.
Now, I don't want to get lost in, okay, so I'm saying, to me, this could be my life review, right? But what does that really, how does that really change me going through my life, living content, happiness, getting on with the practicality of this existence, because it ain't going away right now unless I'm going to check out early, right? I've still got to make this reality work. So what is it of my benefit to start saying, well, this is, let's go beyond the museum and let's start coming up with new truths?
You are aligning to who and what you are in a higher way. In a higher way, there is no new truth. There is no new truth. Truth is truth and will always be so. Truth is truth and will always be so. An agreement and agreement to be in a higher accord. To be in a higher accord shifts the reality you hold, shifts the reality you hold to a new way of expressing, to a new way of expressing. You no longer agree. You no longer agree to what you think you are, to what you think you are in the ways that you have, because you understand what you think, because you understand that what you think in most ways is a byproduct of history, is a byproduct of history. When you become available to be taught in a higher way, to be taught in a higher way, you're always encouraged. You are always encouraged to release the ideas you've held, to release the ideas you have held of who and what you think you are, to claim a higher way, This is true in all high teachings. This is true in all high teachings. If you want to have the high experience, if you want to have the high experience or the encounter with the divine, and stay in your rut, you may poke your head out once in a while, but our hope for you would be that once the head is out, he sees the light. He sees the light and scurries forward to claim his true inheritance, which is his own divinity, as he walks this earth, period.
But is there that part of you sometimes that thinks, well, if I'm going to come up with ideas that are so far out there, is that really helping anyone, and even yourself?
Only if you can experience them. Any teaching that cannot be proven by one's own experience, must be seen as faulty. Now there are teachings you may understand. But may not have yet the capacity to experience. The capacity to experience, you may understand in truth. That God is in all things. Whatever you wish to call God, or whatever you wish to call God, but the fabric of your reality. The density of this plane, may preclude you from this experience, Our teaching for you is to lift you up, so you may have this comprehension, and by this comprehension, you lift the density, of what you see, and participate in the reclamation of the world, and participate in a reclamation of a world. If it is not that, if any teaching is just entertainment, you are wasting your time.
But aren't most things entertainment in some respects?
Not necessarily, if you understand. If you understand that a teaching may be expressed, in a way that is interesting, you may prefer to listen to it. Than the one that is not. But the purpose of the teaching is not entertainment. It's to illumine. It is to illumine or instruct, or to benefit the student, who is willing to listen, period.
Yeah. It's just like that's that part of me. Sometimes it's like, can we go beyond the teachings that we've got right now?
Yes, of course, in your experience, but in order to do that, you must align to them, and then again, that is choice, and then again, that is choice. You cannot claim what you cannot hold. You cannot claim what you cannot hold. The vibration you hold, have claimed thus far, is how you operate, If you wish to receive what exists beyond the known, you have to claim it. You have to claim it and receive it, but you can only receive. But you can only receive at the level that you can enjoin, Enjoin is the right word. Enjoin is the right word. He is questioning. Once you say yes, your own potential to your own potential to do this, the way is made for you. The way is made for you. It will not come without permission. You have free will. But you must become willing to release what you think you are. But you must become willing to release what you think you are in order to embrace who you are in truth. Period.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just in this moment right now thinking, well, what the hell am I doing this all for? What am I trying to do here?
You're learning who you are through a myriad of voices. In some ways, you stand in a funhouse mirror. In some ways, you stand in a funhouse mirror, seeking the true reflection through another's teaching. What will happen finally? Is you will find your way out of the maze. You will stand naked in the sun. You will be revealed. Without the need for authentication, of the ideas you have had. In that moment you may know, and in that moment you may know, period.
Not caring what others think as well, and especially not judging myself for any of it either.
There's no point. It does no good. It just creates another distortion.
Well, then, my truth in this moment is I'm going to have to use human words here. I am existence, having this experience now. That's kind of what I feel it to be.
That is well said. You're having an experience. In this exchange, based on who you think you are, but not at the cost of who you are in truth. The two may live together. We do not make you divine. You can only be divine. We can dismiss your own divinity, but you can dismiss your own divinity. That means it's not there. That doesn't mean it's not there. It's not there. It means you choose not to acknowledge it. The divine as you, the aspect of you who knows truth. The aspect of you who knows truth is as present as you now, as it will ever be, as you give permission to him, as you give permission to him, to it if you wish, and succumb to it, allow it free reign, it makes itself known and relevant to you, as your expression. In other words, underline the word as your expression means. It is manifestation. It is in manifestation. Be comprehended, and you may comprehend it. Periods.
Yeah, thank you. And I feel in that calmness right now of knowing that to be my truth right now, and knowing it more than a truth. It's just a knowing that it's life having this experience. I also know that us humans have got it a little bit wrong about what this really is, and that there is much more to this than any book has ever been told the truth of. There's something much more. I can't put my finger on it. It's like the truths that are out there. There's something way beyond that.
Everything has been diminished for comprehension. Language, unfortunately, while an enormous gift, cannot hold the fullness of any idea. We can tell you what rain is. We can tell you what rain is, but until rain is experienced on the flesh, but until rain is experienced on the flesh, you will not comprehend it. You will not comprehend it. The same is true for source. The same is true for source and your recognition of your part in the manifestation of all, and your part in the manifestation of all, until you allow experience, and claim it as your right, and claim it as your right. You'll be operating in diminishment. You will be operating in diminishment. You can only hold so much. You can only hold so much. The infinite being that you are, the infinite being that you are in an incarnation has chosen to embody, it has experiences in separation, and has experiences in separation, but may also know itself in union, but may also know itself in union. When you move towards union, you may align to more, you may align to more. When you realize yourself as one with the source of being, when you realize yourself as one with the source of your being, you have even more information. You have even more information, if you wish to call it that, if you wish to call it that cannot be conceived, by the self that believes itself to be separate, cannot be conceived by the self that believes itself to be separate, period.
So where's the greater majority of me then? If I know myself to be this whatever this is, this consciousess behind my eyes, where am I actually located? I guess I'm here, aren't I?
Well, what you're showing, this is just Paul now, because
Yeah.
I'm asking to be shown something. And you're actually showing me you as a tightrope walker, sort of walking on this tightrope, trying to keep a balance. And so there's I don't know, let me step into you and see if I can do this psychically, then I'll see if they'll come back through. Just say your full name for me, please.
Kevin Daniel Moore.
You come through and you say, well, it's supposed to be what it's supposed to be, isn't it? I want to confirm what I know. I want to confirm what I know. And if I don't know it, I'm going to have a hard time. I'm going to have a hard time. I'm going to be thrashed. And you actually say, I don't want to be thrashed. That's not a word I've ever used. I do not want to be thrashed. I do not want to be thrashed. And so you hold yourself oddly rigidly. My back gets very sort of tight. My arms get tight. And underneath this, there's a self that comes through, which is the small self, of course, that says, I don't want to be wrong, I don't want to be wrong. Just assuming that you're not right. I hear you're not wrong, you're just assuming that you're not right. And even the idea of right and wrong, and even the idea of right and wrong contributes to your problem, Anything may experience or known. Anything may be experienced and known. He asks where he stands. He asks where he stands. We'll try to explain this to him. We will try to explain this to him. He stands at an opportunity. He stands at an opportunity of recognition, to allow yourself to face the sun, to allow yourself to face the sun and experience the sun, as it pours down upon you. As it pours down upon you, it's not an intellectual act, is not an intellectual act. It's an experience. It's an experience to render the self as vulnerable to this act, as we said, naked and willing, to be known and seen, in this light. In this light, we'll claim you in it, to hide it, to run from it, to try to put it in boxes, so that you can disseminate it, is all well and good, but it's not the same thing. But it is not the same thing as giving yourself over, in full surrender to your divine nature, the image of facing the sun, the sunlight, if you wish, and feeling it pour upon and through you, and feeling it pour upon you and through you would actually support you well, because there is no effort there, there is simply agreement. I am in the sun. I am in the sun. And then the effects of the sun are known. And then the effects of the sun are known by your experience. If you wish to find language for it later. And contribute to the discourse. You are welcome to. But all you will be doing is reducing the experience. The experience of the assumption by the sun, by the Son, the agreement to the Son, the agreement to the Son, to know yourself, to know yourself as of it, in a way that will offer you, a sense of control, period.
Yeah, well, I guess, there's, I don't know what to say really. I suppose a part of me wants to say, well, I guess, by promoting this material, it, can only help just bring a bit of joy and love to the world.
You're giving people an opportunity to decide what they feel through their own observation. You're not mandating people to do anything. You are not mandating that people believe anything, but you are giving them permission to be the chooser from a vast menu, of ideas and information, experience of consciousness and experiences of consciousness. That is valid. The moment you say this is the only way, the moment you say this is the only way, you move into limitation. Let's speak to your own experience. You can only speak to your own experience in your humility of what you don't know, and that will be a benefit to others as well. And that will be a benefit to others as well.
Okay. All right. Well, it's part of the jigsaw, isn't it? Coming here and having that experience.
If you wish to call it a jigsaw, yes. If you wish to call it a jigsaw, yes, you may have that experience of it. What if it wasn't a jigsaw? What if it wasn't a jigsaw? What if it was all perfect as it is? What if it was all perfect as it is? What if there was nothing to figure out and everything to know? And everything to know. The small self likes to figure things out. The small self likes to figure things out. The true self knows. The true self knows. He knows who he is. He knows who he is, what he is, and how he serves. Celebrate the being that you are. Celebrate the being that you are and live it fully. Say yes to the life you've chosen. Say yes to the life you have chosen. Be the liberator of others. Be the liberator of others through your own liberation. That is the gift you will give. Period.